Well, up till now, nobody wanted to voluntarily live at the Kingston Penitentiary, but you might have that opportunity. Here's how the CBC reports it. For nearly 2 centuries, many of Canada's most notorious criminals laid their heads down every night inside the walls of 560 King Street West, better known as Kingston Penitentiary. But would you consider making those same grounds your home? So it's not a prison anymore, and it's not going to be completely bulldozed down, apparently. Some of it might be, but some of it would be refurbished and turned into housing, which we very much need all across Canada. Yet there are those, as I read this CBC article, who seem to have an ethical or moral problem with it. That issue was brought up this morning on the morning show during one of the panels, and Bob Reed, who is the host of Touchdowns and Fumbles at the end of the week on my show, was one of the panelists. Here's what he had to say.
I think it's an awesome idea, provided that they don't tear down too much of it. I think it really is a national historic site. It already is a museum, and it's pretty fascinating stuff. I think we got to be really careful if the development goes ahead that they keep the important parts that people can still tour and see. It really is the Alcatraz of the North, and not go too far on the demolition side.
Okay, would people buy? Joining me, sponsor of the show and real estate expert from Frank Leo and Associates. Frank Leo, good morning.
Good morning, Jerry.
Okay, so if they did this and they put the development together and they're going to sell the condos, can you sell them?
Absolutely. If anyone can sell them, I can sell them.
All right, but would there be resistance?
There would be. Some people would be concerned about the spirits or the negative, feelings behind that. And so you probably will eliminate half the buyers who wouldn't want to buy the property. That's not a very good strategy if you're selling condos.
All right, but we do need housing. And would there be enough people who'd actually be kind of attracted to it to make it work?
There would be some people that would be attracted to it, but over my experience, many people are afraid or concerned with spirits, or if someone has passed away in a home or been killed, etc. So you would eliminate quite a large percentage of buyers as well.
Well, no doubt, but this is different than trying to sell, like, for instance, they knocked down the Barry and Honey Sherman house, maybe in part because they were tired of people driving by. So that could have been a neighborhood problem. I can see why one house where a murder took place might be the kind of place that would be hard to sell, to find that person who went, well, it's nothing to do with me, I don't care. But in this case, you've got kind of a national institution, and you'd have, as Bob Reed was saying, you have a museum there, and you have other aspects of it that make it kind of an interesting location.
No question. It was definitely very interesting, and I'm sure a lot of people got killed in there in the time that it was in service. But is that what you want to live around? I mean, you may want to go visit it, but you not want to maybe live there.
Okay. Well, maybe this is an opportunity for affordable housing, Frank.
Well, you can lock in your value there, if you know what I mean.
Okay. But what if they did that? What if it was, okay, we're going to build housing here, and it's government property, so we can mandate some of the conditions as to what it would have to be turned into. And one of the things we're going to mandate is you're going to have to build condos that will sell no higher than X. Do you think that could work out?
Obviously, there's a buyer for everything, and at a certain price, everything will sell. So, I mean, that's absolutely can happen. The question is it the best investment for someone to build? And when you're eliminating that large of a percentage of potential buyers, you're probably not going to get the best return on your investment. Is it a great, historic site that can provide some interesting stories? Absolutely.
Well, maybe you'd get this. Why are you interested in buying this condo? Well, Uncle Earl lived here for a few years, if you know what I mean.
Reuniting families, Jerry. That's what we do.
Reuniting families at prisons across Canada. So if this were up to you, and it isn't, you're in the business of brokering deals. You don't even sell real estate. You just help people sell to other people. That's basically what you do. But if they came and asked you, would you say just knock it down and then build from there?
I think that would be a better investment from a perspective of, building a condo and getting a return on it. Of course, you'd lose the historic value. But if you want to keep it as a museum, keep it as a museum and build it, somewhere else. But if you're doing, the building and keeping part of the building, I think the investment will be not as well rewarded, or return on it will be worse. And so I don't recommend that, because so many buyers would not come close to it. No.
Frank Leo is with me, and we're talking about a plan. I don't think it's necessarily locked in, as Frank said, and that they're going to go ahead with this. But it's an idea that's been floated with the Kingston prison, and that is to keep maybe some of it as a museum, et cetera, but turn other parts of it into housing. I said affordable housing, Frank. Somebody wants to take it further and wrote in and said, what about turning it into social housing, from the standpoint that the government says, look, if you want a place and the government has to provide it for you, this is where it is, take it or leave it.
Well, I mean, it's definitely necessary, but what's that saying to our people who are in need, that you're going to put them in that place that other people don't want to go to potentially? So I don't think it's very positive from a government perspective in that regard. I mean, housing, we need it. Make up your mind, either make it housing or make it a museum, but probably both would be not advantageous.
Well, somebody else pointed out that it's on the water. So would that make it perhaps desirable to some people?
There's no question. There's no question. I mean, being close to the water is very desirable, but that being said, it still has that history. And so unless you try to eliminate the history by getting rid of it, your investment's still going to be not as good, because more buyers will not come close to it because of all the bad stories and the bad spirits that were there before.
If you're showing me a house and someone died in the house, not a murder, if someone died in the house, the grandpa lived there until he was 95 and then he passed away peacefully in his sleep, do you have to disclose that to me?
It's not a requirement, no. But I mean, with the homes in Toronto being some of them built in the 1800s, I mean, it's quite possible someone passed away peacefully. And that's very different than someone, being violently taken out.
If there was a crime committed and a person died, do you have to disclose that?
We should disclose everything that we know, and that would be much more easily accessible in terms of information. It would be out there, maybe in the news or some story. Someone passing away peacefully, we wouldn't even know. But yes, you would disclose that, and that would definitely and has affected those properties that have been. Even Paul Bernardo's home was torn down.
Yeah.
All the serial killers out there, their homes were torn down. Why? Because that stigma is very strong.
Well, and there's also that sort of tourism thing, that macabre tourism thing of people just constantly driving by, because Jeffrey Dahmer was in Minneapolis or Milwaukee, and one of my very best friends is from Milwaukee. I was visiting him, and we're driving along, and he goes, "Okay, there's the apartment building where Jeffrey Dahmer lived, and the murders took place." And I went, "Oh, okay, that's he thought I needed to see it." So then the next time I was back in Milwaukee, Frank, he said to me, "Yeah, good thing you saw the building because it's gone now," and that's inevitable, I think, and maybe you're right. Maybe that should attach to something like the Kingston Pen. Either that, or they're going to have to turn it into something like Alcatraz, which is a pretty big tourist attraction.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I think that the example you just set, I mean, it's not the unit that destroyed, it was the entire building. That's how powerful it is. So, yeah, absolutely. I think you answered your own question, Jerry. That's why you're such a great host.
Talking myself out of arguments on a regular basis. That's the show that I do. What would you say to me if I owned a home and a violent murder took place there, tragic maybe in my family or whatever it might be, and I call you and say, Frank, we got to get out of this house. We can't take it because we lost a family member. Can you sell my house, or are we going to have to bulldoze this thing?
You can sell a home. The only thing is that you're going to exclude, you have to disclose that information. You're going to exclude a lot of buyers who don't want to touch it. And there may be someone who will buy it, but probably not for as much money as a home that doesn't have that stigma.
So the insult to the injury of what happened to your family is you're also going to lose money on the house, probably.
Unfortunately, that is the truth. Yeah.
All right. Frank Leo and Associates, thanks very much.
Thank you, Jerry. Have a great day.